Hi everybody and welcome to Panda Creates Tutorials. This tutorial it's not so much a tutorial but more of a, I suppose, come and have a play with me. I'm going to be making a mermaid trinket tray. Now I have seen these done a few times before but I have never actually done one for myself. I have twins that are turning 10 in just under a week. One of those is a girl, so I thought I'd be nice and girly and make her a little trinket tray for her bedside table to put all of her hair ties and school hair bows and bracelets that she wears and stuff like that on it. So I'm going to make it a mermaid theme. So I thought I would do this on camera and you can see how I go about doing mine and whether it is a complete fail or whether I actually pull it off on camera for the first try. So I am actually going to use a shadow photo frame. I got this one from Spotlight. Kmart do sell them as well. Kmart are probably usually a lot cheaper with theirs, but this was the only one that was left. It was marked on clearance. I got it for $6. So I grabbed that today and we're going to get started. The idea is to do a resin pour in here. And this is going to be the trinket tray. So I'm doing mine. I know that a lot of people do like the wooden boxes and stuff like that, but I am using mine with a shadow box photo frame, which is why I thought I'd put it on camera and show you how I plan to do mine. So let's get started. Okay, so the first fail for this tutorial is that I have already started to hot glue and then I looked up and realized that it wasn't even recording. So yay me! Okay, so moving on to the first part, because this is a shadow box, obviously the glass and the backing and everything layers in from the other side. So there is a little seam around here that I'm a little bit concerned about when we go to pour the resin on. So I'm just going around now and filling that with, if you can see on this side, I've already done it down here and across here. Right, I've just gone in with my hot glue gun and filled those seams with my hot glue gun, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to clean the end of that. You want to get your tip right up into that seam or that gap, and then just glide your hot glue gun along from there. Come in from this side now. Sorry if my arm's in the way, I am left-handed. Now we're going to do the same for this last section here, right up through that seam there. And this new glue stick is a little bit bent like me, so it doesn't want to feed through properly. We're off to a great start. It's okay, it's just the glue. Okay. Don't mind my family playing board games in the background there. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my seam in there now. I'm going to let that set, and then we're going to move on to the next part. Okay, so working from the back now, I've just gone around and flicked up all of those little metal clips that hold it down. I don't know about you, but I always end up breaking nails and it's never an easy job for me to get those up. And I didn't want to look like more of a dingus than I'm already looking with this video on camera. So I also pulled the stand off, which in hindsight probably wasn't the best idea because I can't get the backing out. But we're good, we're working with it. Right, so because I'm using this as a trinket tray, obviously I don't need the frame stand, that's why I pulled that off. And now this part, so that it looks nice and pretty when you're looking from the bottom, I'm now going to put it in so that this part is facing up. But we want to get rid of this pretty flower and this frame we don't need for our project. And now as you can see, that's all sealed in. You can see the hot glue gun a little bit better there now. We're going to go ahead, put that to the side. We're going to go ahead and paint this. So So moving on to painting the base, obviously when you pour over it you want to have a base color so that you don't see this icky brown. And as I mentioned before, I pulled the stand off, and this is the side that we're going to use in the tray so that when people see the back of it, it's all nice and smooth and there's no little bracket holes. So I am starting off with the Semco acrylic white from Spotlight. The blues that I want to use, because they're going on the brown, I'm thinking that I might put the white base down first, and then once this is dry we will be back to put the blues on. Okay, now we're going to leave that to dry and I'll be back with the blue. Okay, we are up to painting the blues. So I have chosen two of my favorite blues that I use to do like my hand painted beach glasses and stuff like that. This one is Island Blue, which is Deco Art, and this one is Blue Lagoon, which is also Deco Art. I picked both of these up a while ago now from Spotlight. So, give them a shake. And the idea, I mean, I can't draw and I can't paint, right? I'm not a painter and I'm not a drawer. So I'm kind of hoping if I just like splodge it around, then I can kind of mix them in together and we can get a little bit of dimension. But we will see. We will try. Just want to see it like this. This is what I'm trying to do, where you get like the two blues that come in to each other. I think if we go to put the back on this, and these two dots where we pulled out the bracket still show, that's going to be where I put one of my mermaid tails by the end. I'm just going to... That didn't turn out too badly actually. I thought that would... I was questioning myself when I decided to do it, and then I thought, you know what? The worst that can happen is I just have to paint over it all again. I'm trying to pick it up. There we go. If you can see, I'm not sure if it's going to come up on camera, but to the naked eye you can see the two different blues that are kind of streaked into each other. So that is now our base for our ocean. And I think in hindsight I probably should have put painter's tape on the other side, because now I've got blue fingerprints all over the other side. So I'm going to have to paint that eventually. But like I said, it's for my daughter. It doesn't have to be perfect. It is my first attempt at doing one of these. But yes, if you're doing this for a customer, I'd probably suggest putting painter's tape on the other side just so you don't get any overflow. But that is our base. So once this is dry, we will come back, put it all together back into the frame, flip the frame over and start our resin pour. Okay, so after the paint dried, I went ahead and secured it back into the frame. This has all been sealed and we are ready to do our first layer of resin pour. I'm just going to put my gloves on quickly because I've got that. So I've already gone ahead and pre-mixed 30 mils of Platinum SuperClear. Platinum SuperClear is a 2:1 ratio epoxy. Which means that it was 20 mils of part A and 10 mils of part B. And it is also a double mix resin, which means you have to stir it in the container that you measured in first and then convert it into another container and stir it for another couple of minutes. Okay, so I am going to add, I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to add a few drops of Glacier by Holtz. My idea is to do the bottom layer, the alcohol ink, so it's like semi-transparent, and then the next layer that goes over that, if you can see, I've got my mermaid tails. I've done 2. Right, so I've done blues and pinks, and then this one is purples that's still curing. So by the morning that will be ready, and then we can do the next coat, the next pour, sorry. But the first pour I want to do this translucent blue that we're about to do. Over that I then want to do a clear layer that has a little bit of glitter in it, and that's when we're going to attach our mermaid tails. And depending on the depth of that, I may need to do another clear coat over the top, but we will see how we go. So again, this is Glacier by Tim Holtz. I'm going to put a couple of drops in there, and I'm using inks instead of mica powders because I do want to keep that translucence. I was also thinking too, just before I started hitting film, originally I was going to line the mermaid tails up. If you can still see, we still have our little dots from our bracket there, so now I'm considering maybe doing one here, and one here. But we will see how we go. As you can see, as I'm mixing that through, see, it is tinted now. I'm going to mix that a little bit more because you can still see that. But I wanted to keep it translucent because we want to give the impression that we're looking down into the water. Hey, that might be a good idea. Just thinking aloud here while I'm mixing the epoxy. It is quite late, I am quite tired, and I'm going to be thinking aloud quite a bit in this part. But maybe we could do one with sand, so it looks like you're looking onto the ocean water. Ooh, that's an interesting idea. If anybody ends up watching this video and you end up liking the idea and making one for yourself, and you end up using sand or yellow or something to make it look right, let me know in the comments. But that is properly mixed in now. Got our beautiful Glacier. And I forgot to put down some baking paper. I'm doing well tonight, guys, tell you what. Okay, so I'm just going to pour this into my shadow box like this. And I kind of guesstimated how much epoxy I'd need. I did consider doing one huge big pour. That should be enough. I only want a little coat because the coat that has the glitter on it is where I want to have most of the depth to give it that dimension. But now I'm kind of second guessing whether 30 mils will cover, but we're about to find out. But yeah, this layer here, I didn't want it to be too thick because I wanted to build up, but I don't want to build up to where we're coming up the sides here. If you can see, it kind of goes up like that and then out. So I don't want to come any higher to where that edge is there. So I do have to be really careful how much I am using in every layer, but I'm just going to move this around. The idea was just to get that base down, let that cure, and then once that's cured, I can build it up with glitters and sparkles and all the pretty things. I'm going to get my little smearing tool, and we're just going to move it all over the glass. Because once we have that coverage all over, it's going to self-level anyway. You just have to kind of encourage it, as if you were doing, I suppose, almost a hang method. Just to get that all done. Make sure you do up in your edges and your corners. Once this cures, it will be a good indicator. If I pick it up tomorrow, I was going to say if I can't pick it up off the table, but luckily it's on the silicone mat still. But if I lift it up tomorrow and it's all leaked out the bottom, then I know that my hot glue seals weren't the best, and nobody will ever see this video because I'll have to start it all over again. But that is our first step. Gosh, those two holes annoy me. I didn't think it'd be that obvious when I pulled it off, but that's okay, we can cover them up. Okay, now that that's done, I'm just going to tilt it Don't be me, guys. I know I'm not wearing gloves. I am a big advocate for safety equipment, and I am going against my own best advice. But like I said, it's late. I'm ready for bed. I'm squeezing this in for filming before I do go to bed, so that we can do the next step tomorrow, and I can get this on YouTube by next week. Okay, so I can see some little micro bubbles coming. I'm just going to hit it with a heat gun. And a little side note, since I'm heating up the epoxy, and that is quite bad if you're not wearing safety protection. When you're working with resin, please make sure that you always wear gloves, wear safety goggles, and make sure that you're wearing a half-face respirator mask. I have a 3M1 that has the interchangeable filters that I got from Bunnings, but especially if you're working with resin for long periods of time, like long sittings, or for long periods of time in regards to, like, this is going to be a hobby and you're going to be doing it more than once, definitely invest in the right safety equipment and look after yourself first, so that you are still around in a couple of years' time to be able to create more pretty things. But that is done now. I'll hold it up. You can't, until the light catches, you can't really see that we've put the ink in there, but if I'd poured that clear, it wouldn't have looked as pretty. So now that we have that base down, we're going to start building up the dimension from there, and then tomorrow we can add our little mermaids in. Okay. So I'm going to go to bed, guys, and hopefully I will be more with it in the morning. I'll catch you then. Okay, good morning. We are back, and I do apologize for how tired I was when I was recording last night. I went back over and watched that part this morning, and yeah, I'm sorry. I was very tired. I was so tired, in fact, that I put 2 of my mermaids down just to try and see what it'd look like and position it. I forgot to take them back off, so they are secured on there, but the mermaid that I was still in the process of making is now ready to put on as well. So you'll still see how I did that. I also added, I had some of these blue glow stones from Sparkles by Carby. I've put them across here and scattered them into the water. I'm trying to create the look, if I put it this way, I'm trying to create the look of like a shore line coming into the water. That and the fact that with all of the blue tinted resin that we're pouring in here, I'm hoping that when these glow, they kind of spur the glow into the resin and light up the resin just a little bit. So we'll see how we go with that as well. So I have put them in. There is still a few loose stones on there that when we pour the next coat of resin over will cover, and some of them are already stuck into the last coat that we've done. But this time around, because I want to, now that I've got that first layer on for stability, I've made sure that there's no leaks that have come through on the other side or anything. I know that that's now secure. We're going to go ahead and pour a bigger layer. This will be the middle layer. This will be the thickest. And then I will put a really thin coat of completely clear resin over the top of that, just because we are putting glitter into this coat. And I want to make sure that it's all fully sealed. So I mixed up 90 mils of the Platinum SuperClear this time. Being a 2-to-1 ratio, that means I mixed up 60 mils of part A and 30 mils of part B. And I tinted it with, well, I poured a little bit out for the glitter first, and then I tinted the rest with the same ink that we used yesterday, which is the Glacier by Holtz. And then into maybe 10 or 15 mils of glitter. I don't want much because I'm gonna like streak it over the resin. I have used Rapid Bays by Sparkles by Carby as well. I picked this one. I have got quite a lot of whites and opals and whatever else. I picked this particular mix because it does have a lot of blue flash through the opal, as opposed to some of my others that have a lot of pinks and purples. I wanted to try and keep that blue theme. So the first thing that I'm going to do is pour my resin that's tinted. I keep forgetting to put a drop sheet down, but that's okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour that all over, and then I'm going to go over these rocks as well, just to seal them in. And then once this is all leveled, I'm going to go through and add the glitter just sporadically through spots, because I don't want it super sparkly, but I mean, we got to have some sparkles. So I'm just scraping what's left. Do my edges first. Just to fill in all the little bumps that are around that hot glue line. Okay, now I can kind of spread this around a little more. I should be wearing gloves. I'm not doing very well in this tutorial, am I? It's not even a tutorial, it's just more of a, hey, I'm going to give this a go. And if it works out, then you guys will know how to do it as well. I was kind of hoping the amount that I poured into those rocks would come out a little bit more and give me a bit more, but I think it's all stuck. Just going to work around the mermaid tails that are already placed. I can't believe I did that. I came into my room this morning and noticed that they were still standing up, and I was like, oh no. So I do apologize for that. I was just trying to check out the placement so that I knew ahead of time where I was going to put them today. And in the process, I've actually forgot to take them out of the wet resin, and the resin's obviously cured over them overnight. Okay, so we're going to let that sit for just a little second, just to let that settle. It is a self-leveling resin, so it will, I'm hoping. I'm a bit worried about this bit here that's still got the lines in it. So what I'm going to do is put my glove on. And it's super muggy here today, guys. So I'm all hot and sweaty and gross and not enjoying myself today. I just wish if it's going to rain, just rain. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. And just clean up this here that I just made a mess of. And we should be good. So I'm just going to quickly hit it with my heat gun. Ugh. Just to get rid of any of the little bubbles, and then we'll go over it again at the end once any more have risen. I'm just going to pop the surface bubbles now, and then we're ready to add our glitter. So again, it's actually called Rapid Bays Breaking Waves from Sparkles. This was in the December collaboration with Glitter Your World. So I'm just gonna create some sparkles. See how pretty that is? I'll hold that up in a second. The light catches it just the right way. I'm not actually trying to create waves or anything. I'm just putting it wherever I want to. I was thinking last night if I should try and attempt like you do with the beach canvas and stuff, where you get the white ink and then hit it with the heat to create the wave. But this is the first time I've made one of these Trinket trays, so I didn't want to overcommit to my abilities and then have it mess up entirely. So we're just going with glitter this time, but that is an idea if you wanted to do a true beach theme like we were talking about last night with the sand. I do remember that we were talking about adding sand. Maybe you could do the waves that way. I don't want to add too much sparkle, but I do want it to be sparkly. I'm just going to put a little bit through the waves, through the rocks as well. Which will be interesting to see if they still glow, because I have used glitter over glow pigments. If you saw my video where I did the 20 pigments in one demo, we did figure out that putting too much chunky glitter over pigment powders means that it doesn't glow anymore. But that, try and get it. See how pretty that is? Okay, so I'm going to tip it this way to get it all to run in one direction, and then this way, and then this way. I'll hold it up. See, isn't that pretty? And that's exactly the effect that I was hoping for too, so I'm happy. Like I said, I wasn't trying to create waves, I was just trying to place it in a way where it wouldn't be too chunky. I want it to kind of look like the sun is catching the top of the water. You know how when you go to the beach or you go to the lake or anything and you look at the water and you can see the top is sparkly? That's the look that I was trying to go for. So I'm just trying to get glitter up on this edge here to make it a little bit more even. And then, see how pretty that is? I know the window, there we go. So I'm going to pause for a second because I just heard a knock on my door, and then I'll be back. Okay, sorry guys. Like I said, this is going to be a video that doesn't run smoothly because it's not very well planned out. But even though I'm technically on holidays until the 4th, which is 2 days away from when I'm filming now, I'm still taking a trickle of back to school orders and stuff. So I just had a customer show up, and they always do, don't they? Everybody wants to call or show up when you can't. Okay, so we've poured all this down. I've poured the glitter. I've moved it around a little bit. I'm just going to hit it with the heat again really quickly because I can see some of the bubbles that have come back up. Try not to knock, woo! Try not to knock the tail off my mermaid. And my heat gun cap came off. It's okay. It didn't break anything. So we're going to consider that a win. Alright, so to get these to stand, this was my purple one. I've done a pink one. This one I used Mystic Mauve and Purple Passion from Together We Create. This one is, oh, what's the pink one called? I think Galaxy Pink. But the magenta pink from Together We Create, and this is it Mermaid Farts from Pixie Dust. It's actually a pink to blue shift chameleon, and this one I can't remember, but that is a really deep navy blue glitter that I had left over, and this is, I think, Lake Blue from Together We Create. But this is just the standard mermaid molds that you can get. It's nothing special. I've just made up a couple of them because I want to have my mermaids jumping out of the water. I didn't include that part of in this video because making mermaid tails is pretty straightforward. You just need the mermaid tail mold and the epoxy and whatever you're mixing into the epoxy. So I didn't bother doing that because that's pretty substandard and most people know how to make molds now. But I'm just going to stand her, and I've got to turn it this way. You just sit it in the resin, like. I'm hoping that maybe it's not level. These stood up just fine. think next door has lost their dog. And that's not going to stand. So that's a brilliant demonstration, isn't it? Okay. Last night when I did it, all I had to do was set them down and they stood straight. So I'm wondering if it's because I'm trying to put it resin on resin. Does that make sense? Like it's a lot slipperier than it was here. Okay, in that case, I'm going to wait until this cures a little bit. Wait until it's tacky. And then I'll come back and put her in when it's tacky. But yeah, the general idea is to just sit them in and they stay. And then once this is cured, I've just got to do one top coat and then she's done. But that is my trinket tray. Sorry, I'm just listening to my neighbours. It sounds like that their dogs run away, so I might go and give them a hand. But that is the trinket tray so far. So once this is cured and I manage to get my purple mermaid to stand, it's just going to get a clear coat over the top and then it's done. Okay, so the resin has gone tacky and she still won't stand up straight. I figured it out because I had a look at her base and that isn't entirely level. So I think that's why she keeps tipping. So what we're going to do is stick her in the resin where I want her. I have my glitter container here to rest the paintbrush on, and we're just going to balance it all. There we go. Now, hopefully, nobody touched the table. That's going to hold her in place while the resin sets entirely, and then she will be upright. I hope. Move her this way just a little bit. Okay, now she's straight. Awesome. So now I'll let her set and then we will be back to put the final coat on this and then we will see how it looks at the end. And here we go with the final layer. This is cured. This one is now standing up and she's not going to go anywhere. But I did close the window, but you can still see the light coming through a little bit and my fluorescent light. But isn't it pretty? Look. I'm so happy with how that turned out. I wanted it so, and I'll see how when you're looking at it from the front on, it just looks like the light is catching the water and you can't actually see the glitter. That's the exact effect that I was going for. So I'm quite happy that that worked out. We've got our rocks up the top covered as well. None of those are loose anymore, and I did add a little bit of glitter to the shoreline just so it looks like it's coming down. But we're going to add our final layer of resin, let that cure, and then probably at the end of the video I might take it out into the sun and just film a little bit in the sunshine so you can see it under natural light instead of this fluorescent light that is above me. But we're going in with, I think we started with 30 mils was the first layer. I did 90 mils yesterday. I'm going in with 120 mils today. I would really like, yeah, my gloves don't fit me properly. Just a side note, at the moment, I'm just getting whatever I can get my hands on in regards to some of the craft supplies at the moment. But there's a ridge, if you can see, maybe on this side. It kind of comes up at a 90-degree angle and then branches out onto these side bits here. I want to try and get the resin as close to this line here. Right. The rocks are already built up to that line on this side, so I'm not so worried. But yeah, if I could build the resin up. So we're going with 120 mils. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it all or not. Please bear in mind that this was an 8x10 shadow box frame. So if you were going to do the, are they 5x7s? The ones that are like half half the size. Obviously you wouldn't need as much resin, but this is the one that I could get on clearance. This is the one that I'm using. As I explained at the beginning of this video, I'm making this for my daughter. So if it turns out, awesome. If it doesn't turn out, well, then I know that I need more practice. But this is just a little fun holiday. I'm technically on holidays until the 4th. So this was just a little bit of a holiday craft that I did. So I did mix up 120 mils. I did put 2 drops of the Glacier ink that we have been using this whole tutorial, and then I added 2 drops of the Tranquil because it has a pearly effect. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick it up, but that just gives it a little bit. It doesn't tint it much because we want to add that looking down dimension. We don't want the last layer to have too much tint to it, but I did want it to have just that little bit of shimmer. So this isn't tinted as much as we've tinted the other layers, but it does have that pearl. If you don't have any of the Tim Holtz, I call them the super villain range because they were some of the purples and stuff have a bit of darkness in their names. This one's called Tranquil, funnily enough. But the pearl mixative, like just the white pearl mixative that Tim Holtz does, that would work exactly the same way, and you just add a couple of drops of that into whatever you're mixing and it would give the same effect. You don't have to have the coloured pearls to do that. And I have a hair. Get rid of that before we start pouring. Okay, I'm going to use a baby wipe because it just seems like this tutorial I wasn't very organised with this video at all, and I keep forgetting to put down. I think it's because I'm not actually pouring or working on my surface. So I haven't bothered to put down a drop sheet at all in this video, even once. So we're going to pour up this end first because the end with the rocks doesn't really need a whole lot. I'm going to scrape out whatever's left in there. Try not to pour it over the Mermaid. Okay. So I'm just going to tip it this way to let it all run down. Make sure I'm getting behind those mermaids as well. Getting into all of the corners. Okay, I'm going to let that sit and level out now. It doesn't come all the way up, but it comes up high enough now that you don't actually see, like it was a really sharp angle before we did this layer. So I'm quite happy with how that has turned out. I am going to hit it with heat bubbles. I'm going to hit it with heat bubbles. Oh my god, Laura. I'm going to hit it with a heat gun to get rid of all of the bubbles. And then I'm just going to let it sit, and then I will film what it actually looks like in the natural light. And then I'll be able to edit and upload. So that is my Mermaid trinket tray. A few things I have learned is that it takes up a lot of epoxy. It's that you have to put your mermaids, if you're doing mermaids or you're doing, or it doesn't have to be mermaids, if you're standing anything up in your pour, definitely put them down when you've done your first pour so that they stick like they're sitting on the glass with the first pour of resin going around it, and then build up the resin from there. That's what I did with these. It was a happy accident. I put them down to see how they'd look, and then I never took them off and left them overnight. So these two actually worked a lot better than this one, which I tried putting over the epoxy that had already cured. And it just, I mean, besides the base not being completely even, it just slipped and slid around a lot more than these ones ever did. So I am wondering if it's because I was trying to put it onto a cured level of epoxy instead of straight onto the glass. So I think if I was to do these again, I would put anything that I wanted standing up in the pour, I'd put that down once the first layer was in, but otherwise that is the exact effect that I was going for. And now I know you can't really see it under this light, and I'm sorry, but now that we've put that last coat over, it actually adds dimension to that glitter as well, so it doesn't look like it's sitting right on the top. It's so pretty. So thank you very much for coming on this adventure with me. I will edit in at the end what the final product looks like once it's all cured. Otherwise, that is my Mermaid trinket tray using a shadow box. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. I do read and reply to all comments. Otherwise, I hope you're having a very happy and safe new year, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!